Hello everybody, here a new video from Renee from Spain, and in this video I'm going to show and talk about one of my favorite bands ever. One of my favorite metal bands ever. Actually, they started like a speed metal band, and later they became more like an average thrash metal band, but I will go into details a little later. I'm going to start from the beginning. This band is from Germany. It's Living Dead. An amazing, amazing band in my opinion. They were formed in 1981. And in 1983, they released their demo. Actually, this is something I traded back in the day. I mean, back in the 90s. Or, yeah, it must be when the CD-ROMs started going around. Before I traded tapes, but later the CD-ROMs start going his rounds in the underground. And this is actually the Living Dead demo, and here it said 82, but I think on Metal Archive said 83. And you had 3 songs on there: My Victim, Living in Dead, and Night Lights. See? It's like, nowadays for sure you can listen to it on YouTube. But here we also have the Black Ghost. I think they changed their name, I think later. I'm not 100% sure about that. But to Necrodead, I don't know. Also the Hex demo from 1984 is on here. And the Lucifer's Heritage demo 1985. And they later changed the name to Blind Guardian. Lucifer's Heritage demo 1985. I got some cool stuff on this CD-ROM. Okay, then in 1984 they released their debut album Vengeance of Hell. This is a speed metal classic. I mean, so many great songs are on here, like You and Me, Night Lights. You already named that song before. Heavy Metal Hurricane, I love that song. Hell Pike. It's just a great album that you all should get. This is the original first pressing, because soon after, in 1985, this album was re-released with a better recording, because the recording on this album is not very good. I don't know if I'm recording. Oh yeah, yes, I thought I was not recording it, but now I can see it's recording. Anyway, it was re-released in 1985, and it had a kind of a sticker on here saying Remix 1985. It was not a sticker, it was like on here. But I have actually that remix version. But this is a new 2022 re-release of the Remix 1985 version of the debut album, and it sounds quite a lot better, than you could hear on the original 1984 release. But actually, in 1985, they also released this great kind of EP, Watch Out, with one new song. And then we had 3 songs from the debut album: You and Me, Heavy Metal Hurricane, and Night Lights, re-recorded. The glare is not so nice, the glare. Hope you can see it well like this. This is another speed metal classic EP, from 85 on Earthshaker Records. The same label that had WARLOCK back in the day. And this is, yes, here you can, and later, of course, they also released, of course, the debut album, like all remixed, all the songs remixed. But here you could hear 3 songs remixed from the debut album. Then in 1985, was quite again 1985, was quite an intense year for the band. They released their second album, Metal Revolution. And this is already a lot better sounding album than the first one, really. And but of course the first one, it's all pure speed. And this has some slower tracks too. For example, Screaming from the Chamber. It's a great song. I loved The Killing Machine. That's a classic by Living Dead. Yes, you should all, If you don't know this album, you should just get it. It's just a great album. And a lot of people complained back in the day, you know, about the vocalist, about Toto. His name was Torsten Bergman. He had a very peculiar voice, but I think that voice fitted very well with his music. I think it was very good. Only here he sounded a little bit different than on the debut. Also because he got better produced the album, but also because he sounded more like a mix between Udo and maybe the Grave Digger, maybe that guy, you know, Chris. Yes, but this is a great German speed heavy metal album. You know, there's some speed metal songs, but also some more Accept, Fact, you know, Fact. I don't know if somebody remember those bands. Early Steeler, you know, the debut album by Steeler. That sound too. Not only speed like the debut. I also have a re-release of that album with a couple of bonus tracks, live bonus tracks from 1984. And this came out in 2002, this re-release. Okay. Then in 1985, the singer collaborated on this Christmas release. It was specially done for Christmas. And Toto from Living Dead sings on here. And there's other quite well known in the underground musicians. Axel Rudy Pell is on here. You know, he was back then, he was in Steeler. Martin Borg from Lion's Breed was here. George Michael from Avenger, he was also on here. You know. Okay. And I think George Michael later became also the drummer of this band. But first, they got a new drummer in 1986. And that guy was Atomic Steiff. And of course later he became the drummer of Sodom. But also around the same time he was the drummer of Violence Force. You know, he was from the early days of that band. He was also in that band. And with him they released this 4-track EP. And this is again very cool speed metal. Only Nuclear Greetings has some thrash metal too, but the rest is pure speed metal. And this is quite a cool release too. You know, it's like I said, from 1986. And there was a nice introduction of the drummer, Atomic Steiff, in the band. For him it was a good introduction. And they were still playing that same speed metal style. They were also on this compilation in 86. With an older song actually, with Hellpike. Again, you know, Hellpike, the remix version of that song. That's a famous song from the debut album. For sure some of you guys also remember a fanzine called Hellpike. It was a cool fanzine from the 90s or early 2000s. You know, Living Dead inspired a lot of bands and underground maniacs. Living Dead is one of the best bands from Germany, I guarantee you that. Then they went a little bit more thrash metal vein. They left the speed and they went more thrash metal. And they released this album in 1987 with Atomic Steiff, of course, on drums. And here we have the classic Horrible Infanticide. It's on here. They also released a picture disc with the song Icebind on it. But I don't have that picture disc. Also in 87, I think it came out. But then the band, or the record label, or whatever, did a strange move. And in 1988, they released this live EP, but with songs from 1985. And here we find 4 incredible songs from the second album, the Metal Revolution album. Killing Machine, Gripping a Heart, I love Gripping a Heart's great. Road of Destiny, and Screaming from the Chamber. I love the song. This is a great release, very good sounding live EP, you know, by Living Dead. And then, before everything finished for a couple of the band members, I will get into that a little later, they released World Neurosis. This is more pure thrash metal. It's a good album. I really enjoy this album. You know, I really, really do. And this was the last album with Toto on it, with Atomic Steiff on it, and also with Fred was also on here, the guitar player. And those three guys, they left this formation of Living Dead. They left the band, and then they went on. They kept going under the name of Living Dead for a while, but there was a big confusion because there were two Living Dead bands going at the same time in Germany, and people were confused. So finally they left the name, and then they formed a new band called Sacred KO. It's actually a song title from one of the songs by Living Dead, and they released this with a sticker on, ex-members of Living Dead, and this has 3 ex-members, Fred, Toto, and Atomic Steiff. You know, they were in the band, and they only released this EP. The best song of this EP is the last song on the B-side, the second song of the B-side. Lure You Right Now, or Leave You Right. I think it's Lure You Right Now. Maybe they said it wrong. I don't know. But this is nothing special, to be honest. It's not speed metal. It's more thrash, power metal, maybe. You know, it's okay. But it's nothing breathtaking. And like I said before, this band inspired many other bands, and I want to give 2 examples. One example is, you know, another one of my favorite bands. I'm talking about Nocturnal, and they did a great cover song of the song Killing Machine. Killing Machine is one of the best Living Dead songs, and they did an homage to Living Dead by covering that song. Great track. And even something cooler, another one of my favorite bands, Disaster, they had Toto singing. You know, he was singing on here on Metallized Blood, on that song. That's a classic by Disaster. He sings on that song. Just great song. And this is everything I wanted to say. This is just everything I want to say in this video. I think this band deserved a video like this, you know, where they get the respect they deserve. You know, you got some people on YouTube that play some of their songs, you know, with their guitar or the bass. And that's very cool. But I don't think anybody showed their collection, you know, and talked about Living Dead like I do now, you know. That's why I hope you guys appreciate this video. If you like it, say this. If you don't like it, say this. And stay metal, everybody. Stay metal. Till next time.